All right, everyone, welcome back to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. So this is for September 4th through the 10th of 2017. And of course, this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, definitely check the link down below. We're using the actual size of the constellations here, so the signs are different from mainstream astrology. All right, so this week we have a lot of things shifting. We have a full moon taking place on Wednesday midweek. We also have Mercury going direct while he's trining up to Uranus. Coming into the week, there might be a bit of fogginess, fuzziness, uncertainty perhaps, while the moon opposes up to Neptune, or excuse me, the sun opposes up to Neptune. And then the moon does shift into Pisces as we go into Wednesday onward. So a lot of this watery energy, really good for meditation, spiritual activities, of course, which I'll talk about. But as we get into about the weekend, then the moon does go into fiery Aries, right around Saturday, actually, and the sun starts to trine up to Pluto, giving us perhaps a pretty deep and powerful form of self-expression and focus on whatever we're focused on. But generally, as a backdrop, you know, this week, this has all been about this solar eclipse that started about 2 weeks ago in Leo. All right, we have all these planets in Leo. In fact, Venus is going to shift into Leo going into the weekend, which will be all the fast movers here. But anyways, this is the focus, right, with the sun. We're learning about and focused on what gives us passion in life, what we enjoy, and our self-expression, focusing on that, cultivating that. And Mars is here too, so we're very direct with our self-expression and or the things that are close to our heart. Mercury retrograde has been helping us learn a lot about these things, all right, these fiery inner things that are cultivating. And that's what the full moon is. It is a high point. It is a status check with whatever it is that we've sort of learned or begun here these past couple weeks associated with self-expression and passion and creativity, whatever it is that's close to our heart. So this full moon, though, is going to be a challenging one. It is going to be forming a T-square with Saturn and a conjunction up to Neptune, again, emphasizing this very watery energy, spiritual energy, which isn't easy for us generally to work with. You know, as human beings, it's hard for us to let go, to surrender, to be present, you know, that kind of a thing. So it could be a collectively challenging first part of the week. But of course, as I always say, it does mean it is best for us to challenge ourselves, right? Instead of being in victim mode, where it's something in the external affecting us or the astrology affecting us, you know, which I don't believe in. I believe astrology is showing a predictive sort of theme of the world or of the universe at a particular point in time, but certainly not the planets causing this. But anyways, when you start to take the proactive approach to challenging yourself during these types of you know, time periods like this full moon, then we're no longer in victim mode. We're the one being the agent of change and willing to change and willing to put in the work and challenge ourselves, and then it's flows. We're more in alignment with the time period. It's just like working out. You know, it's like working out. If we're really exerting ourselves, it's painful, right? The muscles are stretching and tearing, but we're doing the work. But if we're willing to, we're pushing ourselves to do it, it's a very positive experience. All right, so let's talk about this week in terms of how things are unfolding. I don't think it's all challenging. You know, we do have some good aspects like Mercury trining up to Uranus, and then, as I said, this weekend. But coming into Monday, Tuesday, the sun does oppose up to Neptune, so our focus could be a bit blurred. Our energy levels could be a bit diminished. With opposition, sometimes this can be where there's something from our external environment or an interaction with someone or something like that that might lead to some sort of confusion or lead to us wanting to withdraw. And so, as I said, it is a great week for anything that does require spiritual activity. So I think it's good all in all to be as present as we can coming into the week. Maybe get some of that alone time, reflective time. That's kind of what we want to do during a full moon anyways, is sort of reflect. It is an active time, though. I think it'll be an active week, generally speaking, because it's a full moon, more energy. But, you know, getting that alone time, reflecting on things, maybe meditating, can be a great way of working with whatever this opposition is. We'll, of course, see which houses this is associated for your signs after this collective reading. But generally, I think good to, you know, really find that present moment, however you do that personally, without going to any extremes either. Because, you know, with opposition, sometimes we want to go to an extreme. In this case, with Neptune, we may want to withdraw, hide away, escape. Okay, so healthy ways of finding peaceful, you know, a peace and harmony and balance within ourselves is fantastic. And that can also ease the confusion, because if we're trying to figure things out mentally, that's what leads to confusion. But when we listen to our gut and our intuition, our inner guidance, which is all accessed through our alone time and our meditation, then that's the type of clarity we gain during these types of time periods. But as I said, it's a mixed energy because Mercury is going direct and trining up to Uranus, which is a very positive aspect. In fact, I think Tuesday, it's good to maybe slow down with the routine or with the mind. We may be feeling that anyways, actually tends to be the case. The mind slows down. The routine sort of pauses for a moment, at least in terms of our perspective of it. And so it's good to align with that, right? Be willing to sort of pause for a second. And what's happening is the past few weeks, we've been learning a lot. Again, I think it's been about what's close to our heart, right? That Leo energy, what we're passionate about, what we enjoy in life. And so there could be an insight about this, especially with the trine up to Uranus. Although not going exact, it's in a very close trine during the station direct. So there could be some new ideas. We could be thinking differently, right? Seeing things in a completely different way. There could be some freedom and change with our routine, in fact. All right, but give it time. Mercury, again, it takes time for this energy to move forward and for Mercury to gain his momentum. So just kind of pause, you know, be aware of it. And then as we go through the rest of the week, it is excellent for implementing anything you've learned these past few weeks, particularly pertaining to what you enjoy in life. All right, so that's the first couple days. Then Wednesday, as I said, that's the full moon, and it is going to be a full moon in Aquarius. Very close conjunction up to Neptune. In fact, I think it's within a degree. Very, very close. Again, emphasizing that uncertainty, maybe doubt. This could have to do with collective matters with Aquarius. You know, the world's going through a lot of changes right now. So it could be associated with that. But fundamentally, it's this really integration of how to surrender and let go of everything that's outside of our control. Right? Surrender and let go of everything outside of our control is what helps us focus on what we do have control over, which is ourselves and our actions and our responses to things. But also helps us find peace. Right? When we surrender, we have faith and trust, and this is what's being integrated. More faith and trust. Okay, so great to do a status check. Again, full moon is an energetic time, but because of the Neptune, there's the energy, but then perhaps also the uncertainty. But the uncertainty comes when we're trying to think, when we're trying to figure out, when we're trying to project into the future. And that's why it's so important to let go of that, needing to understand things and trusting the process and being present in the now moment. All right, so it could also be a cultivation of whatever has been started anew for you these past couple weeks. So thinking back the past couple weeks, again, that was a solar eclipse. It's a much larger energy. It's a 6-month cycle that started a couple weeks ago, but maybe in the short term, it's just a great time to see what has come to your awareness or what is coming to your awareness at this time that you can continue to cultivate regarding, again, this stuff that you enjoy in life, the Leo, right, or the self-expression that has begun over the past 2 weeks. Now, the square to Saturn does give it a bit of a density this full moon. I'm going to do a specific video on this full moon on Monday of this week. I'm releasing this early, so Monday of this week I'll be making that video, so do stay tuned for that. But good for patience, good for persistence, just, again, presence, but then also seeing the big picture that things do take time with Saturn. All right, so that's the midweek energy, and like I said, the moon will be in Pisces, so it is good to just listen, get that alone time, or listen to your intuition, because it is, again, energetic, but it is spiritual at the same time. Then as we get into about Friday, Saturday, the sun starts to trine up to Pluto. And so this is where we could start to see perhaps this, I don't know, this willingness to remove obstacles, this very powerful energy of Pluto. All right, Pluto trine the sun gives us a sense of power, of focus, which does make it really good, by the way, for research or simply expressing ourselves, or maybe some of this creative stuff or stuff we've been already focused on, really giving us the power to dive deep with those things. And all in all, yeah, express ourselves in deep and meaningful ways. It'll be easy to do this with these good aspects up to Pluto. Easier, right? So it's not easy for us to obviously open up and express truth and see the truth, but we'll be willing to do that this weekend. And just very good for making change. And it's really because we're non-attached. All right, it's basically what it is. Pluto trining Sun, we're non-attached to whatever it is we're focused on. And because of that, a tremendous power arises when we get to that point of freedom, when we're no longer bound by the fears. All right, and then as I said, the moon does shift into Aries around Saturday, a little after Saturday, so give it time with that moon still in Pisces at that time. But yeah, then we'll be coming out of this Neptune energy, going into next week, maybe a bit more fire energy. But again, the basis is fire. The basis is about connecting to that inner flame. I also want to mention too that Venus is going into that Leo, right? So around the weekend, Friday time period, Venus will be shifting there. So our values are going to be shifting. I think we'll be seeing that we're going to be, learning more, just becoming more aware of what we value about fun and passion and creativity. All right. Maybe even connecting on that level more with the relationships, because with all these other planets, these are more self-identity planets. Mercury, Mars, the sun, not so much interpersonal, kind of with Mars, with that direct self-expression. But these are, identity sort of planets. Once Venus goes into Leo this weekend, could be particularly pertaining to our relationships. Having a bit of fun there, valuing it, a bit of self-expression there as well. All right, so so now let's go ahead and look at the individual signs at this part of the reading. You can go down to the comment section, click the timestamp next to your sign or signs. I do recommend watching this for your ascendant, moon, and sun sign. There's a calculator down below as well if you don't know your ascendant or moon sign. But check out all three. I think you'll find that to be a holistic picture of the week for you. All right, Aries, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's take a look at this full moon, which will be around Wednesday. We'll probably be feeling it Monday, Tuesday as well, leading up to Wednesday. It's going to be conjunct Neptune, square up to Saturn, and it's over here in your 11th house. Okay, so this is the house of your ideals. It's the house of your hopes and wishes for the future. And it's also the house of friends and your network circles. Okay, so basically everything that's larger than you and into the future that you idealize or want to contribute to. So good to do the status check around Wednesday with these things. Surrender and faith has already been important in this area with Neptune, who's been transiting your 11th for the past over 10 years at this point, I believe. And so really good to get in touch with that inner intuition, right? That inner guidance, what you can release that's outside of your control, having to do with the future, having to do with your aspirations, and your network circles if it's playing out on that level. And so that development of what you're cultivating here is going to help you see the beauty about it when it's in the present moment. You know, when we really see things for how they are in the present, when the mind is not trying to project or be active about something, really connecting to this area is helping you do a status check. And so it's a great time of the year to do this status check with how are your aspirations in this context? How are your friends or network circles in this context, right? And it could even also be if you've been involved with anything in this area over the past 6 months. It could also be a high point with that, a cultivation with these things. But again, it's requiring this faith and trust. It's requiring this patience and discipline with Saturn, and particularly with, you know, this deeper Saturn. Saturn's been helping you really build things in life that are based on what matters most. And so remembering that as well. Just things take time, and they have to be built on what's true, what's real, what's raw. That's Saturn in your 8th house. But patience, nonetheless, I think is key. All right, and this is all in the context that where you're focused and where a lot of your energy likely is, with especially your ruler down here in the 5th, is on your self-expression or anything you're passionate about or anyone you're passionate about, either your kids or your lover, your romantic partner, or if it's more, you know, more personal, maybe it's your projects or your hobbies or your interests. All right, but whatever's close to your heart, it's just such an excellent time to be cultivating right now. And you've been learning a lot about that with Mercury retrograde through here. So early in the week before the full moon, but pretty much around it, but around Tuesday here, Mercury does go direct in your 5th house. Okay, so these past few weeks, you've been rethinking all of this self-expression, all this enjoyment, passion, whatever it is here that gets this creative energy moving. And so now it's starting to move direct. And I think you'll notice that as we go through the rest of the week, it is excellent for implementation. Still be flexible. Mercury still has to get out of his shadow, but things moving forward in this department nonetheless. Now, coming into the week, Monday, Tuesday, there is this uncertainty, as I said, with the sun opposite up to Neptune. This is a balance point, you know, especially with the full moon. This balance between, yes, it's great to be expressing yourself, but at the same time, to be focused on what's larger than yourself. How can you give and contribute to something larger than yourself, right? Or be a part of it, if it's friends, for example. Okay, but it's requiring balance because our friends, the world, needs us to be having fun and expressing ourselves, but also vice versa. You know, our self-expression, our passions in life need us to be involved with things greater than ourselves. So it's striking that balance there with that. And if there is any uncertainty or fogginess involving your future ideals or involving your network circles this week, balance is key. Again, that inner guidance is key, just like I talked about in the general. Okay, and there could be some insights generally. I think there will be about your self-expression though. Mercury trining up to Uranus, probably something to do with finding some peace, some surrender, some faith and trust. That can be very freeing, in fact, with Uranus, who's been transiting your 12th. All right, so that's about early to midweek time period. Then as we get into the weekend, the sun does trine up to Pluto. So there is that powerful self-expression I was talking about, especially for your sign, with the trine up to your 5th house. You could be removing some obstacles, expressing yourself deeply, openly, putting in some of that deep focus into any projects or hobbies or creative things you're involved with, if that's the case. And then you do have Venus going into your 5th. So I think you're going to start to see a lot of the value. And you do have this shift of value going into the weekend of seeing the beauty of fun, of self-expression, of entertainment, of creativity, of hobbies, interests, whatever it is here, it's close to your heart. And you'll be connecting on that level, as you have been motivated on this level, but now connecting on that level going into the next month, pretty much with Venus there. And I mean connecting for you to enjoy, but also in your relationships as well. All right, so Aries, I hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you for all of your likes, comments, and shares with these videos. It's very much appreciated. And I will see you all very soon. Take care. All right, Taurus, welcome to your weekly forecast. So, yeah, full moon here around Wednesday in your 10th house of career and of anything productive in your life. And this is in the context of what has been, I think, a lot of emphasis on either your home life at this time or your health at this time. There's been a lot you've been learning about this area with Mercury retrograde, been focused on it, maybe even driven and motivated here. We're seeing more about what your desires are here with your roots in life. So the full moon is a status check. It is perhaps involving anything new that started in the home or health sector a couple of weeks ago. You could be gaining some awareness about it at this time, or if there's been anything new, it could be cultivating at this time, but mostly from the last 6 months. This is with the solar cycle, it's a 6-month cycle. If you can think back to 6 months ago, if there was anything new that you started with your career or your productive life, not in a major sense, but just in a yearly sense, this is now a high point. And so in either case, it's good to do a status check. It's good to examine this area, and particularly in the context of surrender, which is this full moon conjunct up to Neptune, very close conjunction. And so Neptune's already been helping you do this over the past 10 plus years, helping you have more faith and trust with the whole career area, right? To let go of what's outside of your control and to really connect to your career or your productive life in this more now moment, in this present moment way of really seeing the beauty and connecting to your work or career in the now moment. So it's this awareness. It's also too, if you've been involved in anything in your career, that it's really about learning more about what feeds your soul with your career. You know, what really satisfies you on a spiritual level, right? So there's some awareness about that as well. Now, do be patient with all of this. The full moon is squaring up to Saturn in this T-square. So there is this energy about time, things taking time. Maybe it's involving relationships. You know, things have been taking time there over the past couple years. But yeah, take things nice and slow. Use this time to do this status check in this context. And I think there will be awareness. I think you'll be shifting and continuing to develop your career productive life moving forward. Now that Mercury is going direct around the same time around Tuesday here. Well, it trines up to Uranus. So I think there is more insight about the home or health area. Things are shifting. Again, consider the things you've learned the past 3 weeks in this case, involving your home or health, or anything you consider your roots in life, the emotional aspects of life, or your past. This is all starting to move forward. So give it time. Allow Mercury to gain its momentum. But good to start implementing. Still be flexible while Mercury's getting out of his shadow. But yeah, great for that implementation there. And you may even, like I said, gain some insights. Uranus is trining up to that Mercury. It might be about the finances. It might be about your self-expression. But whatever it is, good to be open-minded around Tuesday and just kind of see where things are shifting for you there. All right, then yeah, coming into the week as well, the sun is opposite Neptune, and this is really synonymous for this importance of balance. This awareness of your career life or productive life is really needing to be integrated with your home or your health life, because we can't have one without the other, right? We can't have a career without good stability at home or with our health, and we can't even have good home or health if we don't have something productive we're involved with. So it's finding the balance point. Integration, if you do feel that there is any uncertainty about the career, whatever it is coming into the week, or maybe about the home or health, again, meditation, alone time, all of this can help you connect to your intuition, which is really where the guidance is with these areas coming into the week. All right, so then as we go into the weekend, we do have the sun trining up to Pluto, so there is this powerful energy into the weekend, probably again, helping you maybe make some changes with the home life or your health life in some way. If you want to use that Pluto power, really it's the power because we're not afraid. There's no fear in this context. And so that's what allows us to remove those obstacles, make some changes. And it could be a really good weekend to do that if you're guided to. Again, it's all part of this cycle that's helping you learn about and develop your home and health life at this time. Not to mention Venus is going to go into your 4th house going into the weekend. So you're really going to start to see more of what you value and enjoy, and maybe even quite literally enjoying more of your home or your health life for about the next month with your ruler there. Because things have really still been emphasized with your, and still pretty much is for most of this week, on learning or practical matters or computers or language or anything that has to do with this practical stuff. But you're going to notice things shifting more into your home and health sector, more so. It already has been, but more so as Venus goes in there this weekend. But again, to help you see the enjoyment and connectivity with that area. All right, so Taurus, have a great week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all very soon for the next forecast. All right, Geminis, welcome to your weekly forecast. So full moon week, cultivating this 9th house of yours, which is the house of expanding your horizons and tapping into your adventurous side. Now, with that being said, though, like I said, there's a T-square, and it is a very close conjunction up to Neptune. So there could be uncertainty and doubt if the mind is trying to figure things out in this area. So very good nonetheless around Wednesday to do this status check though. How is the adventurous side of your life? How is your perspective on things? Are you seeing things positively with an open mind? In other words, seeing that, how we view things and our perspective of things really does manifest our reality, at least half as much. The other half is taking action, but being open to what's possible. But all of this is requiring a lot of faith and trust. Your life path has been requiring a lot of faith and trust with Neptune in that 9th for the past 10 plus years. And so this is now coming to this awareness about how things are happening in divine timing for you involving this expansive area. Now, this could be expansion of some of you involving travel or long distance matters. Others maybe university studies or higher learning. Others spiritually, but fundamentally, I think your life path. So the status check of your purpose in life, how it's uncertain, and how to let go of what's outside of your control with it so you can connect to the now moment with it and find that peace and tranquility and live in the present moment regarding it, because it's like serendipitously leading you to your path. So along with that, the square to Saturn does require patience and just remembering things take time. Perhaps with your routine or your work, all right, things have been taking time with this the past 2 years. You've been developing a lot of patience and persistence and building things with your work or your routine. So a good time to challenge yourself with that. Continue to take things slow in that department. But at the same time, just generally with the T-square, especially involving the life path, this higher stuff, just being patient with that stuff in general. So this is all in the context of where this whole solar eclipse was, where all these fast-moving planets are in your 3rd house, which is the house of practical things. It's been a great time for you to be learning things or reading or writing, perhaps. Really getting into the computers, if that's the case, or anything involving language, anything that's, practical, mathematical, rational, that type of thing. Maybe even connecting with your siblings or your peers as well. But whatever it's been for you, there's still great energy here, great awareness, there's motivation, there's drive. Mercury is going direct here in your 3rd house. So all the stuff you've been either redoing or rethinking involving this practical stuff now starts to move forward for you. Give it time. Mercury's got to get out of his shadow, but it's moving forward nonetheless, and there could be a shift, maybe even some insights regarding it around Tuesday in particular, when Mercury goes direct and trines up to Uranus. And this is, maybe helping you see the freedom of your career. Uranus has been helping you find more freedom with your career for a very long time, since 2007. And so this could be a very supportive element where you're just feeling a bit free there, and it's supporting whatever this practical stuff is you've been focused on. All right. Yeah, and then the full moon's on Wednesday. I do also want to mention, coming into the week, the sun is going to be opposite up to Neptune around Monday, Tuesday time. So if you do find that there's anything uncertain just in general, maybe again involving that life path and and this practical stuff, perhaps whatever it is for you personally, it's really about integration, right? Especially with the full moon. We can't have open horizons. We can't have a life path without taking care of and getting involved with the practical things in life. And that's really where you've been focused and learning. So getting to that practical to balance out this perspective of the path and this larger perspective, this right brain energy that's being emphasized now. All right, we can't have possibilities without practicality. And vice versa, we can't have practicality, we can't have things, understood and detailed and involved with our immediate stuff if we're not thinking big, if we don't have our open horizons. So it's a balance of both, a balance of your left side of the brain, right side of the brain, right? Practical, possible, practical, theoretical, integrating the two, very important. That can help balance out if there is any, mental projection or uncertainty, blurred energy. Again, getting your intuition, your alone time to particularly reflect on ninth house matters is great. All right, so then going into this weekend, Venus starts to shift into your third. I think you'll be finding the next month, now you're seeing more of what you value about this practical stuff, which is great, and maybe even enjoying it as well. Maybe you will be enjoying more reading and writing and things like that. It's been emphasized, but Venus is specifically about enjoyment. You may even find in your relationships that there's more of this connectivity involving ideas and sharing of ideas and just communicating in general, maybe business and trade, enjoying that as well. The weekend does have the sun trining up to Pluto, so there is this powerful change happening with your perspective on this practical stuff in life. This is your house. It's everything that you're about, ideas and learning and sharing. But you got some good positive support with that. Could be very deep with your communication, very to the point, and maybe even with your relationships. In fact, Pluto's been helping you have non-attachment with your relationships. So I think you're really developing more of that non-attachment going into the weekend, which really helps you connect to your relationships in a deeper way. All right, so Geminis, have a fantastic week. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please like, comment, and share down below. It's very much appreciated. And I'll see you all very soon for the next forecast. All right, Cancer, welcome to your weekly forecast. So the full moon week, very important because it always does involve your ruler, the moon. And this is going to be in your 8th house. This is the house of everything deeper in life. Okay, it's becoming illuminated now at this time. Now this is the area of life and death, beginnings and endings, the whole transformational aspects of life, how things are continuously changing and how important it is to be open to change. So this illuminates, and this has already been an area that's been activated for you with Neptune here, of seeing how, the beauty of this essentially in the now moment, of what happens when we let go of everything that's outside of our control, that we don't have power over. The 8th house is the house of where we want to hold everything, we want to hold tight and control because there's that fear there. But now the fear is becoming illuminated. All right, that sun energy is bouncing off the moon there. We're becoming more aware of it. We're also becoming more aware of what we can have more faith and trust with in life, involving beginnings and endings, all right, and how life is constantly changing. And really, what matters most to you in life is the 8th house. Once we go through all these layers, and especially with Neptune connecting to the now moment, we become aware of what matters most in life, and just we have a clear ability to connect to that in general. So with the with this Neptune energy, I think coming into the week, Monday, Tuesday, the Sun opposite Neptune, it is a reminder that although this is an illumination of the deeper, this is also a high point of where you've been focused. And I think where you've been focused is on the material aspects of life or your inner resources, this second house. A lot of you likely been putting motivation into your finances, learning about finances or investments and savings, or maybe redoing them with that Mercury retrograde, been focused on it. But internally, this is our inner resources, right? This is what the natural gifts we're born with, our self-reliance, standing on our own 2 feet. And so this balance for this first half of the week is really requiring this integration between, yes, the material life and developing that area, but at the same time connecting to what matters most. And also too, if the second house is your self-reliance, then the 8th house is your reliance on others. So you could, for a lot of you, could be gaining awareness about where you do rely on others. Now that could be a positive thing. I think there is a positive side to it, which is that we live in an interdependent world. We do rely on others, not just physically, but emotionally. All right, this is also becoming illuminated where we can have more trust in our relationships, open up in our relationships. All right, but for some of you, this could be external. So it could have to do with debts, inheritances, taxes, stuff we owe others, or it's some money or something that involves others in some way, if it's on that level. So it's a balance of that as well, that we can be self-reliant, but also at the same time rely on others in healthy ways. Okay, so integration of both, I think, is fantastic. That can ease any uncertainty or doubt. It is, like I said, generally a good time coming into the week to get our alone time, to listen, even though it's an energetic time, especially for you because it's the 8th house of our deep self, right? It's becoming illuminated. And faith and trust, letting go of what's outside of your control, and being patient as well. Full moon, T-square up to Saturn. Being patient with the things you want in life, or the things you're passionate about or enjoy in life. There's been this very serious connotation to your passions these past couple of years with Saturn transiting your 5th. It might be, feeling like a restriction in terms of what you used to or normally enjoy. Right? It's just more serious. So be patient with the things you enjoy in life. Be patient with your self-expression and whatever this whole axis of resources, personal and other resources, as well as the deeper and the material of cultivating your values in life. All right, so that's coming into the week. Coming into the week as well, though, Mercury is going direct around Tuesday. I think there is a shift of what you've been learning these past few weeks about your inner and outer resources. And great for implementation. Still be flexible. Mercury's got to get out of his shadow, but great for implementation. Pause maybe around Tuesday. Things are shifting here. But there might be some insights. You might actually be quite inspired with Uranus in your 9th, just seeing possibilities, thinking big, which is very good to have during this deep 8th house energy. But think outside the box. Try some new and different things. I think you'll find that to be very supportive for your finances or resources and your sense of self-worth. All right, then going into the weekend, Venus starts to shift into your 2nd house. I think you'll start to see more of what you value involving these resources and being grateful for what you have in life, enjoying a bit of luxurious life or abundance in your life, because we all do have abundance, so being aware of that and just enjoying that good meal, relaxation, whatever it is for the next month, and even attracting some of these values to you with Venus in the 2nd. And with your relationships too, maybe connecting in that more earthy sense of enjoying things, enjoying your values. And then Friday, Saturday, the Sun does trine up to Pluto. So there is this, again, now positive energy going into this 2nd house as well of transformation and change. Maybe some changes taking place regarding whatever it is you're focused on here with your resources, which is good. Helping you remove any obstacles or just use that powerful focus in that area. All right, so Cancers, have a fantastic week. Thank you for all of your likes, comments, and shares with these videos. And I'll see you all very soon for the next forecast. All right, Leos, welcome to your weekly forecast. So happy birthday, first of all, for those of you who have your birthdays this week, watching for your sun signs, but all of you have had this fresh new beginning, fresh new start to your independence, which was the solar eclipse a couple weeks ago. So now you have this sort of high point and this status check with whatever it is that you become more aware of about yourself, or the things you want in life. These past couple weeks, because now we have a full moon and it will be in your 7th house of relationships. So this is an area of uncertainty. And it's been this way probably for about the past 10 years, in fact, with Neptune in your 10th house, really helping you have faith and trust when it comes to this whole relationship area and in your relationships as well. Right? And just having more acceptance and unconditionality. But that's hard for us to do, especially when we have the T-square like we do with this full moon. So it is a good time to do a status check with, yes, your independence and all the stuff you've been learning about yourself, but also relationships, right? How is the relationship area going? How can you perhaps have more faith and trust in this area? Or how can you connect to them in a more present moment way, or in a more unconditional and accepting way, perhaps? This is all Neptune type of energy. So it's also about integration too. When we have a lot of focus on self and what we're doing, obviously the counterbalance to that is relationships, others' needs, all right? So this is the balance point, especially coming into the week, Monday, Tuesday, your ruler is going to be opposing up to Neptune exact. And so there could be some uncertainty, maybe feeling like withdrawing or retreating when it comes to these things, self and other. And it is good to get your alone time in healthy ways. Of course, do watch any extremes. We don't want to just go into the escaping and wanting to hide away with Neptune, but good to, get into that inner guidance, meditation, healthy ways of really accessing that inner guidance is great. Now, it's about balance as well. Just like the full moon coming into this week, though, balancing our personal needs with others' needs, or perhaps focusing on ourselves, but also focusing on others' needs as well. All right, we really can't have one without the other. We can't have self or anything involving, our self or self-identity without relationships in our life. Healthy relationships, balanced relationships in our life. And vice versa, we can't have relationships in our life without a clear sense of identity. I think that's coming more natural because that's where all your planets are. But remembering that too, all right? We do have to be independent to have healthy relationships. And watch any dreams or ideals with relationships as well. When Neptune's in the 7th, sometimes we can put people on pedestals, or, there's nothing wrong with having dreams about relationships, but just recognizing them as such and being as grounded as possible in this area. All right, now, like I said, this early part of the week isn't all just challenging. And by the way, one more thing, be patient as well. Squares up to Saturn with this whole full moon, maybe involving relationships, maybe involving what you're doing with yourself, or your independence, or where you're headed, what you want in life. Patience with that. And patience with the home area or the health area, because this area has been taking time with Saturn down there in the 4th. But anyways, yeah, it's not all challenging this early part of the week. Mercury's going to be trining up to Uranus as he goes station direct. So I think you've been learning a lot about what you, who you are and what you want in life with that Mercury direct in the 1st. So he's starting to shift forward, which is great. Give it time. I think throughout the rest of the week, you'll notice a little bit more of this implementation. But certainly around Tuesday, just kind of pause and maybe reflect on what you've learned these past weeks about yourself, what you want in life, what you desire, and who you are fundamentally. And it can be very freeing, in fact, probably freeing in a vulnerable sense and an open sense with Uranus in that 8th house. Just being open in general with life can be very freeing. I think it's going to happen very naturally coming into the week. Still in the context of this whole your ruler opposite Neptune, this uncertainty. Again, present moment, meditation, all that is key. All right, and then as we go into the weekend, Venus does shift into your sign. So I think a lot of you have been probably enjoying more of your alone time lately, past 2 or 3 weeks. Enjoying your alone time or music or creative, imaginative things, and maybe things like meditation, in fact. But Venus goes into the 1st, and I think you'll notice for about the next month plus, you'll be feeling good, looking good. This is more about an attraction of your self-image. Maybe an emphasis on relationships for you. Maybe your career comes out of a bit of a less of an uncertainty, if that's been the case these past few weeks, and maybe emphasizing more of the career, maybe emphasizing more communication in general. All right, so that's, I think, all part of this status check you're doing earlier in the week involving relationships, the importance of them, particularly in that Neptune context I was talking about. And then the weekends, Friday, Saturday, with Pluto trining up to your ruler. So this weekend you have a lot of positive support with your ruler here. You'll probably be willing to remove some obstacles. Very powerful energy, in fact. It could be powerful for your focus. Could be powerful for your independence, your confidence, your drive. With the sun in your 1st house, maybe very expressive. And just expressing yourself in deep ways. Maybe just being yourself can be a very powerful thing when Pluto's in the 5th. It's been helping you really express yourself in ways that are non-attached. And to be non-attached to the things you want in life, things you're passionate about. And I think you'll be willing to do that this weekend. All right, so Leos, if you have any questions, please let me know down in the comment section. More than happy to answer them. But wish you the very best week, and I'll see you all very soon for the next forecast. All right, Virgos, welcome to your weekly forecast. So there's been a lot of concentration of energy on your 12th house. This is the house of finding peace in life through accepting all dimensions of life, accepting ourself, everything that is deeper, and really connecting to how everything in life really is connected. And there's so many facets of it. So it's been such a great time for things like meditation, spiritual activities, getting your alone time. Been learning a lot with that, with your ruler retrograde in that 12th house. But, maybe it's also been an uncertain time when we naturally as human beings with our minds want to figure things out, want to understand things, want things to be clear. But in the 12th, it's the time of getting in touch with our intuition and our inner guidance. And this is essentially the result of this is essentially us finding peace, tranquility, and acceptance in life. And this is what's being developed and what has been. I think you've learned a lot about this in your own way with Mercury retrograde. So your ruler Mercury goes direct here around Tuesday. And in fact, it's going to be trining up to Uranus. So you do have the sense of perhaps freedom, being yourself, unorthodoxy, maybe something different with relationships, maybe something exciting with relationships, something like that. With Uranus in the 7th, but in either case, you're starting to move forward after this 3-week sort of reflection in this deeper dimension. So this is taking everything you've learned about this spiritual dimension of finding peace and now implementing it. Give it time, of course. Mercury's got to get out of his shadow, but implementing it nonetheless, whether it's, again, getting your alone time, meditation, whatever helps you get into a meditative state, because we all reach the present moment in different ways. All right, and it is, of course, a full moon week. So the full moon is going to be illuminating that area of your 12th house, but the 6th house. And this is the house of your work. It's the house of your day-to-day activities. It's the house of your routine. It's your house in many ways about the day-to-day stuff. So great to become aware of this area now. Do the status check. How is your work going? How is your routine? How is your personal growth and development? But again, this watery energy, this full moon will be conjunct up to Neptune as a reminder that over the past 10 years or so, there's been this uncertainty with your work or your routine or your personal growth or all this day-to-day stuff, whatever it is, there's uncertainty with it. So that's becoming illuminated, and it's becoming illuminated for this integration now with this full moon. This integration of, again, having more faith and trust. And I think it's involving this 6th house. Okay, whatever the day-to-day here is, faith and trust there. And that's really what this axis is about anyways, is about integrating faith and trust into the day-to-day, right? The 12th, opposite the 6th, is that, it helps us bring in all of this presence, acceptance, faith, and trust in the everyday environment, to integrate it there, to balance it, to even put in that self-discipline to do things like meditate or get our alone time, right? So this is the integration point. I think balance is going to be key coming into the week with the full moon, with the sun opposite up to Neptune. And it's this reminder that we can't have spirituality, can't have peace even, if we don't have things structured and organized in our day-to-day. And vice versa. We can't have things structured and organized in our day-to-day if we still have stress, if we're not surrendered, we're not having faith and trust and getting our alone time and our rest, right? So that's the balance between these two. It's really the axes of control. 12th house is everything we don't have control over. So letting go of what you don't have control over has been the emphasis. But now this focusing on what you do have control over with this full moon, but just in that way of having faith and trust. You see the paradox here. You see Neptune, which is normally 12th house, is in your 6th. And now the full moon's illuminating this. But I think finding that integration between the two, I think, is a great way of working with this. Also being patient, too, with anything on the work or day-to-day level and with your spiritual development or psychological development, because this T-square is involving Saturn. And Saturn's been in your 3rd house, so it's also about being patient, too, with your mind. Maybe even, this is why meditation is so great. It helps us train the mind. So the mind is not the one in control over us. We're in control over our minds, right? So presence helps us do that. But Saturn in the 3rd is the house of the mind. And so whatever it's been the past couple of years, some of you have been working hard on learning or communication or correspondence or things involving your peers or community. Practical stuff has been taken seriously. So be patient with those things this week as well, particularly just the first half during this full moon. All right, so these are great areas to challenge yourself with this T-square. But again, Mercury trending up to Uranus, I think you're thinking outside the box. You're seeing something new and different, probably with life in general, with yourself, and those relationships also. Then as we get into the weekend, Venus then goes into your 12th, which is actually where she does like to be. So for about the next month, I think you'll be seeing the beauty and enjoyment of all of this 12th house stuff. Right, enjoying these things, enjoying the yoga, or enjoying that alone time, whatever it is here, and maybe learning about psychology, right, this type of stuff. So the enjoyment factor comes in because there's been a lot of more masculine energy here in your 12th, but now Venus, the receptive energy, comes in here, helps you really connect to this area. And even too with your relationships, perhaps connecting in that more receptive way, which I think is, again, getting this dose of support this week. So yeah, and then the week does end Friday, Saturday with the sun trining up to Pluto. You do get this powerful energy going into the 12th. Maybe you'll be making some changes so you can have more peace in your life. Maybe you'll be making some changes with your home or health. Maybe you're just feeling more empowered with your home, health, past, your emotions, which is really helping you support what is this time of, again, connecting to the present moment. All right, so Virgo, have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all very soon for the next forecast. All right, Libras, welcome to your weekly forecast. So there's been a lot of concentration on your 11th house, which is the house of your ideals, and also the house of friends or network circles. So you've likely been focused here. There's a lot you've been learning about this area, I think, with Mercury retrograde. But Mercury is going to go direct this week around Tuesday. So a lot of the stuff you've learned regarding this area these past few weeks, really good to start implementing. Still be flexible. Mercury's still in his shadow, but implementing nonetheless. And it's also been a time of emphasizing perhaps your career or your productive life with Venus up in your 10th house, being your ruler and all, really emphasizing it. So still a great week to be connecting to, seeing the value with, and developing your career or productive life. Now, this week does have that full moon around Wednesday, so this is an awareness week, high energy week, even though there is this, again, perhaps uncertainty or fogginess or diminishing of energy coming into it. So this is involving the full moon that's going to be in your 5th house. So this is the house opposite the 11th, where I think on one level you'll be doing a status check with whatever this new beginning sort of been these past couple weeks, maybe again involving your ideals, maybe involving your network circles. It becomes illuminated. But what is actually being illuminated is your passions and your self-expression. What is close to your heart, what you're passionate about in life. This is being emphasized with the full moon. So around Wednesday, really good time to do the status check with this area. Having particularly faith and trust with this area, with anything close to your heart, having faith and trust, because the full moon is going to be in a very close conjunction up to Neptune. And that's what Neptune's already been helping you do for about the past 10 years, is have more faith and trust with those things that are close to your heart, right? And be more present there. So you have this now awareness, this illumination, and even great time, especially with the sun opposite Neptune, to find and strike that balance between what you're passionate about and these things that are greater than yourself, like friends, like community, or maybe the future aspirations. You know, the world and our future and our friends need us to be expressing ourselves and to be cultivating, having fun, which is what the 5th house is about. And vice versa. In order to cultivate our self-expression, we do need to connect to things larger than ourselves. We need to give and contribute, right? That our self-expression to something. So it's that kind of a balance. And all in all, I think just doing a status check involving these areas, your passions, what the world needs, what others need, right? What you enjoy, right? And the contribution, finding that balance, and also being patient with these things. Saturn is forming a T-square up to the full moon, being patient as well with your resources. Saturn's been helping you take that mature, grounded approach to your inner and outer resources. Your sense of self-worth, your self-reliance, and also your finances, investments, and savings, things like that. So being patient with that area as well. And I think with that perspective, I think you'll find this is a very integrating time, very good time for constructively developing, again, what you're passionate about, and then also whatever your ideals are. Now, let's see. So that's the early part of the week. Sun opposite Neptune. We talked about that. Mercury direct. We talked about that. Another thing about that Mercury direct around Tuesday is that it's going to be trine up to Uranus. So you could be finding that you're mixing things up, wanting something new and different with the routine and the day-to-day. And it could be first couple of days good, to be good for that with that context of what I'm talking about with this full moon. All right, and then as we go into about Friday, Venus, your ruler does shift into the 11th. So the emphasis will be shifting from the career and going into these, again, ideals. All right, and this is also the house of income from your career as well. So you could be more focused on there, or just seeing more of the value of your career in general. But connecting with this area, emphasizing this area even more, it's a really good time to connect with your friends, your community, contribute, maybe social media. Some of you may be getting involved with technology or innovation. All of that is certainly being emphasized. And with Mercury going direct by that time, very good for, again, that implementation there. And then the week does end Friday, Saturday with the sun trining up to Pluto. Got good power here, good sense of focus with these future things, and probably with your communication as well. Just a bit of support there, probably just communicating the truth, being open in general. Could be a very supportive energy involving your friends, networks, whatever it is you're focused on with your future. All right, so Libra, have a fantastic week. I hope this video was helpful. Please like, comment, and share down below. And I will see you all very soon for the next forecast. All right, Scorpio and Ophiuchus, welcome to your weekly forecast. So as I've been talking about, there's a lot of concentration up here in your 10th house. It's where all the fast-moving planets are. It's where your ruler is. And this is the house of your career and your productive life. So still an emphasis this week. In fact, with the full moon, there could be a high point on some level involving whatever news shifted with your perspective, or maybe even literally quite new things that have shaped up since then, these past 2 weeks, involving your productive sector. Now, keep in mind, Mercury's been retrograde, so there's been a lot of redoing and rethinking with this, but Mercury is going direct here around Tuesday. So the full moon's on Wednesday, Mercury directs on Tuesday. This whole early part of the week, it's good to just pause for a second, sort of reflect, and just do the status check. And I think the status check is on one level with your career and your productive life, and seeing what you've learned about it or redone or reworked these past few weeks about it, and start to implement it with Mercury direct. Now give it time. Mercury's got to get out of his shadow, but so be flexible, but still nonetheless start to implement some of these ideas or things you've learned or redone involving the productive area. But the status check is also involving now your personal sector. Personal life, home, and health are common examples of the fourth here. So full moon in the fourth, conjunct up to Neptune. This whole area that has to do with home or health or the past has been uncertain, when the mind's trying to figure things out in this area. This has been an emphasis for like the past 10 years. Having more faith and trust and letting go and surrendering when it comes to your roots in life has been so important. And now this full moon is illuminating this importance of letting go of everything that is outside of your control that has to do with your foundations and roots. And so great to be aware of that, great to do the status check, and also especially with the sun opposite up to Neptune coming into the week, same time period. This balance between where you've been focused on your productive, future, career-oriented area, but balance with that and now your personal life stuff. Home, family, health, common examples, because we really can't have one without the other, right? We can't have good career life if we don't have good home life and in good health, and we can't have good home or health if we're not have something productive going on, something future oriented, right? Which is the 10th house. So balance of the two in whichever way that, whatever that means for you personally during this time. Patience with these two areas. Full moon is going to be squaring up to Saturn, who's been in your first house past couple years. So, it's been this importance of patience with things you want in life and with who you are, but you've been integrating this patience and persistence. So just continuing to develop that. Things take time, of course. And then again, faith and trust, letting go is really the key. And I think it's involving these two areas for you. Now, the sun opposite Neptune, if you do feel any of that diminished energy coming into the week, which could be the case for all of us, I think your energy levels generally are pretty good right now with all these planets at the top of the chart. But if you do feel any of that diminished energy, it's good to find a healthy balance between these two without going to either extreme. We don't want to just go into the career, just go into the home life, family life, and privacy life of the fourth house. But still, get your alone time if you're guided to. Really good to reflect, listen to that inner intuition during what is this heightened energy, this awareness point involving these key areas for you. All right, so that's the first few days of the week. I also want to mention that Mercury direct is going to be trining up to Uranus. So, with this full moon and Mercury going direct, I think there is a bit of freedom-mindedness, or maybe you're gaining some new ideas about your career. Maybe you're just having some fun. In fact, Uranus has been in your 5th house of fun and self-expression. So you do have some spontaneity here coming into the week as a side note. Now, going into the weekend, Venus starts to shift into that 10th house. I think there's going to be, because there's been a lot of masculine energy here involving your 10th of career. But now Venus, the more receptive energy, going into your 10th, helping you connect to and see the value of your career and enjoy your career. And I think over the next month could be certainly doing just that. Seeing what you value there and enjoy that level. Maybe even two relationships being emphasized through your career or public life in some way. Now the week does end with the sun trining up to your modern ruler, Pluto. So you could be quite self-expressive this weekend. It's certainly possible. But I think there is this powerful energy, again, just helping you really invigorate yourself and focus on the future, focus on your productive life. You could be willing to remove some obstacles maybe with your career, make some changes there because you're not afraid. You got the power of Pluto there really supporting that area. And also too, involving your finances. I think Pluto's been helping you be non-attached with your financial life over the past many years. And so now you have this non-attachment really supporting you, involving finances or your material life, which could help that area flow simply because the fear is either lifted up a little bit or you're more accepting with that area. All right, so Scorpio and Ophiuchus, have a fantastic week. Thank you for all of your likes, comments, and shares with these videos. And I will see you all very soon for the next forecast. All right, Sagittarius, welcome to your weekly forecast. So the concentration of energy, as I've been talking about, is in your 9th house. This is the house of your expansion, expanding your horizons, whether it's mentally, such as through higher learning, philosophy, spirituality, but also quite literally as well. Some of you may be involved with travel or long distance matters, that type of thing. So it's been an area of new beginnings since the last solar eclipse 2 weeks ago, but at the same time, it's been an area of rethinking and reworking it. And that's been the Mercury retrograde here. So Mercury is going to go direct here around Tuesday. And so there is this pause around Tuesday of now starting to implement and move forward whatever it is you've learned these past few weeks involving this 9th house. And fundamentally, the 9th house is about thinking big. And it's your house, Sag. So it's that same spirit of thinking big, being open-minded, seeing life from that top-down perspective, and really, seeing that our perspective really does manifest our reality. It's not the whole equation, but it's at least half of it, right? If we're limiting our perspective, limiting our beliefs, then that's only what can come into our life. So expanding your horizons, open-mindedness, whatever it's been fundamentally about that, and maybe for some of you just accessing a bit of that adventurous spirit, that's starting to move forward with Mercury direct. Good to pause with that around Tuesday and reflect on what you've learned about it. The full moon is also a great time to do a status check. I think it is going to be involving that 9th house on some level, but where the full moon is actually going to be illuminating is your 3rd house. So if the 9th house is the house of expansion and possibilities, then the 3rd house is the house of practicality. And it's the house of everything in our immediate environment, the things we have to take care of or work on, we normally do on sort of day-to-day level, communication, correspondence, these types of things. So this awareness is now, on one level, if there's been anything over the past 6 months involving writing, courses, communication, correspondence, that you've been working on the past 6 months, this is a high point with that. It's a cultivation of it. But in this more immediate sense with all these planets in your ninth, it's this awareness about the importance of having both the practical and the possible, right? Because we can't have open horizons, like I said, without the other half of the equation, which is being practical and real, right? And even doing the work or the day-to-day stuff, you know, to manifest and to ground ourselves and to make some of these possibilities a reality. You know, third house is about the rational side of ourselves. So it's balancing the rational side of yourself with the theoretical side of yourself, or the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. All right, possible, practical, needing this integration. We can't have one without the other, seeing the importance of both, and doing a status check with anything involving these things is just fantastic. So with that being said, you know, the sun is going to be opposing up to Neptune as we approach that full moon on Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday in particular, if there's anything you're uncertain about, again, maybe involving ninth house matters, or could very well be with this illumination, this needing to have faith and trust with the everyday stuff, okay, and with the mind as well, with Neptune, who's been in your third house, really helping you connect to the present moment with thinking and the mind, you know, being more present with our mind and with just our daily life. So it's that kind of thing. If you do feel there's any uncertainty or doubt coming into it, like I said in the general reading, it's good to get our alone time. Not to any extreme either. We want to watch. We're not going just into Neptune of escaping or hiding away, but maybe it is good to bring in some of that receptive energy, reflective energy, and again, just a great time to do the status check involving these key areas. Now that Mercury station direct is going to be trining up to Uranus, so there is a bit of support coming into the week here, in the sense that I think we're all going to be on some level a bit open-minded and progressive and thinking outside the box. And it could lead to maybe some new ideas about some of these expansive matters, open-minded matters, whatever this ninth house is. And even too, maybe about relationships for you, maybe some insight about that, and maybe also about your career as well, which really is the overall emphasis of the year, with your ruler up there in that 10th house. And being patient with all this stuff, the T-square with this full moon is involving Saturn, and really remembering to continue to challenge yourself with your spiritual life, get your alone time, find those healthy habits, do the work to, you know, bring in some healthy habits into your life, and get more peace and tranquility in your life through work, but patience nonetheless with that area. All right, and then as we go into the weekend, Venus starts to go into that ninth house, which is kind of good because Venus has been in your eighth, although I think you've been enjoying and seeing the beauty of deep connections and openness and vulnerability and all of this deeper stuff. Once we get to about Friday, she goes into your ninth, and then I think you're going to start to see more of the value involving this expansive stuff in life, the value of thinking big, the value of adventurousness, the value of higher learning, and enjoying it nonetheless for the next month pretty much. And then the week does end with the sun trining up to Pluto, so you do get this powerful energy to top off the week going into the ninth, where you could be just willing to remove any obstacles so you can have more freedom in your life. All right, more of this expansive, free-spirited energy, which is again so natural to your sign. And from the first house, it's this fear that's been shed away over these past 10 years pretty much with Pluto in your first. Stripping away all the fears, non-attachment. So it's a fearless kind of energy with the weekend, helping you express yourself. And most importantly, I think, helping you be yourself and helping you expand your either physical and or mental horizons. All right, Sagittarius, so have a fantastic week. Thank you for all of your likes, comments, and shares with these videos. It's very much appreciated. And I'll see you all very soon for the next forecast. All right, Capricorns, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's take a look at this recap of your 8th house. There's been a lot of 8th house emphasis for you lately. Really good to be focusing on what matters most in life. Becoming aware of what's holding you back, what you're chained to, that you can be breaking free of some of those chains. Been learning a lot about that with Mercury retrograde through here these past few weeks. And now Mercury does go direct in this 8th house for you around Tuesday. So what this essentially means is it's good around Tuesday to sort of pause and maybe think back to what you've learned about depth, about breaking free of anything that's holding you down. And this is internal stuff. You know, really ourselves are our greatest, jail keepers, if you will, hold us down the most. It's our minds, our perspective, it's our fears. And so you're learning about all this fear and deep stuff that's helping you break those chains. And so maybe reflect on what you've learned regarding this the past few weeks, also regarding vulnerability and openness in life and maybe in your relationships, and maybe even too the importance of having healthy interdependency, relying on others, either emotionally through trust, but also to maybe materially through, relying on others materially, because we all do rely on each other there on some level. And breaking free of any external bondages as well too, debts or, things that we owe others in some way that we can break free of. So anyways, this is all moving forward, sort of pause here around Tuesday. And then as we go through the rest of the week, really good for implementing what you've learned, whatever it's been for you personally. And it's just so great because you got all this awareness, all this illumination about all these normally hidden things in life and deeper things in life, which is really helping you gain that life force and vigor. With that being said, coming into the week, that sun is going to be opposite Neptune, which tends to cool off that sun energy. Could be a diminishing of energy, perhaps. But again, it's about striking this balance. And the balance is with, yes, continuing to focus on what matters most in life in the deeper dimensions, but also now doing this status check with finances and your resources. Okay, so Neptune's been here for about the past 10 years. There's likely been off and on maybe some uncertainty or doubts involving investments or savings or income, and maybe even just your sense of self-worth, right? Fundamentally, that's what the second house is, your sense of self-worth. So there's been uncertainty when the mind's trying to figure it out, but now you get this illumination about this importance of faith and trust when it comes to your inner and outer resources. And so great time, especially around Wednesday, to sit with the energy, become aware of it. Things are shifting, and I think you're going to be continuing to develop your, yes, deeper dimensions, the stuff that really matters in life, and the truth of life, and the truth of who you are, and freedom, but also to shift with your resources through whatever insight you gain around Wednesday. Now, do be patient with all of this, along with, Neptune is about surrender, letting go of what's outside of your control, as best as you can. So it's really the emphasis with the full moon conjunct Neptune, but also patience with your ruler Saturn. Saturn's going to be squaring this full moon, so could, depending on your personal chart, could be more challenging for your sign and Aquarius's than other signs. So just be patient with this whole matter. Be patient with also with your aspirations. Saturn in your 11th house these past 2 years has been this slow and steady building towards your future, towards your aspirations, and for some of you, group or network related stuff. So be patient with that as well, but patient in general, and integrate, do the work, right? It's natural for your sign to do the work, and that's what a T-square is. It's doing the work. Could be financial, could be the deeper, where can you face some fears? Where can you heal? What kind of actions can you take to break free of some restrictions in your life? It's just such a fantastic way of working with this full moon. And it's not all challenging, of course. Mercury is going to be trining up to Uranus, so I think you are learning a lot about the 8th house, and you could even be quite free with your communication, and maybe with anything practical coming into the week, such as communication, correspondence, day-to-day stuff. Just a bit of freedom there with your mind and how you share things, share ideas and such. All right, then as we go into the weekend, Venus starts to shift into your 8th, so you'll be starting to see the value, actually, if you aren't already, of the deeper side to things, and to all this 8th house stuff like depth and transformation and healing. You'll be enjoying it more than likely. for about the next month. Enjoying deeper connections, enjoying that focus on what matters most in life and connecting on that level. And then the week does end Friday, Saturday with the sun trining up to Pluto. You got this positive, powerful change here occurring with your whole perspective of the 8th house, of deeper things or shared resources, whatever it is. It's power of, again, breaking free. I think especially by the weekend, there's a fearless energy going on. And it's fearless in terms of you expressing this deeper, open, more vulnerable side of yourself with the sun in the 8th. Or just becoming more aware of what matters most. And that power is, I think, really helping you have more peace and tranquility in your life, non-attachment in your life, which is Pluto in that 12th. But it's all we make it. But hopefully this stuff has given you some perspective in terms of what the general theme is for your sign. All right, Capricorn. So have a fantastic week. Thank you for all of your likes, comments, and shares. And I'll see you all very soon for the next forecast. All right, Aquarius, welcome to your weekly forecast. So the emphasis has been on relationships lately, I would say so, with all these fast-moving planets in your 7th house. You've had Mercury retrograde, so you've likely been rethinking, redoing things involving relationships right now, which is good. But now Mercury goes direct, and so great around Tuesday here, just sort of pause for a second, maybe reflect on what you've learned these past few weeks involving relationships or one-to-one connections, or the importance of focusing on others' needs and these types of things. So maybe contracts and legal matters for some of you. But whatever it's been, now it's starting to move forward. Still be flexible. Mercury's got to get out of his shadow there, but great for implementation Tuesday onward, especially with whatever insight you do gain coming into the week. Because Wednesday we do have this full moon, which will be illuminating your 7th house. I think it's already been illuminated, but now it's a sort of high point because the last solar eclipse we had 2 weeks ago started some sort of new perspective here in this area or something new in general. And so now it's the high point of doing a status check over the past 2 weeks here, but really illuminating now your 1st house, which is the house of you. And it's the house of your identity and of the things you want in life, where this is the others' needs, this is your needs. All right, 7th is others, 1st is our needs. So this illumination, this awareness, but particularly about where you can have more faith and trust involving life and involving who you are. In other words, you know, we don't know exactly who we are, right? This understanding and learning, it's like our minds can only conceptualize so much of who we are and what life is about. And that's what Neptune has been helping you realize generally, the way I would classify it. These past roughly 10 years is about not needing to know who we are or where we're going. And there's a tremendous beauty in that. Even though that's very challenging with Neptune, there's a beauty of being present in the now moment with life, with yourself, and connect to yourself in your beingness, at your core, where we don't rationally know who we are, but we feel it. We connect to it. So it's that kind of a thing. And so with the full moon, just great to go within, see that internal, what the internal intuition and guidance is telling you, and do this status check involving who you are on that deeper level in the context of your life and in the context of your relationships. Because it's a balance, especially with the sun opposite Neptune coming into the week. There might be some diminished energy or uncertainty or something confusing or someone or something creating a confusing situation for us. So getting your healthy alone time without going to any extremes, listen to your inner guidance. Again, really good for spiritual activities coming into the week. But as this status check, just remembering that, you know, we can't have relationships without a good connection to ourselves, you know, without our independence. And in this case, the independence of faith and trust, of Neptune, of that beingness. And vice versa. We can't have independence and a sense of self without relationships in our life, right? We need relationships in our life. So it's a balance of both, integrating the both. Also, too, in terms of what are your personal needs, which may be uncertain with Neptune, but again, spiritual needs. How you can have your needs and your partner's needs or your relationship needs, and finding that balance. And if this isn't involving like a romantic relationship for you, it could be just relationships in general, other. Seventh house is just dealing with other. So our needs, others' needs, finding that balance, that integration is just fantastic this week. All right, so that Mercury direct is going to be trining up to Uranus. I think there's this supportive energy with some of this. I think with whatever you're learning about relationships, maybe helping you feel quite free or liberated. Maybe it's with your sense of self-worth, actually, which is Uranus in that second house, which is good. Could also be financial for some of you, feeling a bit free there for whatever reason. And yeah, too, this full moon is going to be squaring up to Saturn in this T-square. So remembering, too, just be patient. Be patient with those relationships, I feel like. Being patient with yourself and your goals, and even with your career stuff. Because it's taking time, there's this limitation. Saturn's helping you really build long-term stuff involving your career. And so it's about patience, persistence when it comes to your career, productive life, and especially this week, just taking it slow, understanding things do take time, but challenging yourself nonetheless, challenging yourself in these key areas with this long-term career energy, with your relationships, and with your goals and self. All right, so then as we go into the weekend, Venus then does go into your 7th house. So we've had a lot of masculine energy here in the 7th, which doesn't really, in and of itself, doesn't really help us see the beauty and enjoyment, in this case, of relationships. But you're going to start to, I think, see your value of relationships and what you value in relationships going into this weekend with Venus shifting into the 7th and enjoying them as well. I think they've been emphasized, but because you're shifting values here, seeing the beauty of your relationships, I think you'll certainly be enjoying them for the next month. And then the week does end with the sun trining up to Pluto. There's good positive energy going into the relationship sector during the weekend, where I think there's just a fearlessness about it. You're just open there, maybe vulnerable. Maybe you're creating some changes there for you, which could be very supportive. And it could be involving friends or network circles or your ideals in general. You're probably just fearless, involving your network circles, involving your ideals, your future aspirations, and that's also very positive support for you for the weekend. All right, Aquarius, have a fantastic week. Thank you for all of your likes, comments, and shares with these videos, and I will see you all very soon for the next weekly forecast. All right, Pisces, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's do a quick recap. You got a lot of energy here in your 6th house of your day-to-day work, routine, personal growth and development for some of you, finding solutions to problems, fixing things. All this day-to-day stuff is really emphasized. Really good for also developing your skills at work as well, I do want to say. But Mercury has been retrograde here these past few weeks, so you've likely been rethinking this day-to-day stuff. And it's been great to do that. So now that Mercury is going direct this week on Tuesday, very good for implementation. Now give it some time. Mercury's still got to gain momentum, get out of his shadow period or area. And so implement, but do it flexibly, right? Kind of experiment with what you've learned these past few weeks involving your work or routine, and start to put it into motion with that flexibility. I think is great. Now this week we do have this full moon, which is going to be illuminating this 6th house. I think there will be this awareness about matters relating to your work or your day-to-day, and some things could be culminating with that in a more immediate sense from the past 2 weeks. But the full moon is going to be in your 12th house, and this is the house, it's your house, and it's the house of finding peace in life and developing your intuition and having more faith and trust. And so now you have this illumination about the importance of getting rest, relaxation, meditative time, whatever it is, to help balance out what has been this very busy or day-to-day energy of the 6th. Because we really can't have one without the other, right? We can't have work and routine without de-stressing and getting our alone time and rest. And vice versa, you know, we can't have rests without doing our work, our day-to-day. So it's finding that balance between the two. If you do find coming into the week, Monday, Tuesday, a bit of diminished energy involving the day-to-day or uncertainty or something like that, again, it's really good to find the healthy, reflective time. It's just such a great time, these first few days of the week, to reflect in general, but get healthy alone time without going to any extremes of escaping if you feel that tendency with Neptune. And again, listen to your intuition, which is why meditation is so helpful with this. This full moon is also going to be squaring up to Saturn. So there is this patience needed with whatever this awareness is. Just seeing that things do take time. And they take time with, yes, your work and day-to-day. Things also take work and time with finding peace and spirituality. But they also take time with the life path. And that's what Saturn's been helping you see these past 2 years, is how we can expand our horizons. We can follow our life path, our purpose, but with time, with patience, persistence, discipline, slow and steady energy. For any of you involved with things relating to travel or long distance matters or higher learning, patience with that as well. Okay, this is the square to Saturn, but this is very constructive in that all T-squares are about building. So how can you integrate, again, that receptive energy into your work or day-to-day? And how can you implement some of that structuring of your routine and work so you can have alone time, you can meditate, use some of that self-discipline to meditate and you know, find that peace in whichever way you do that. All right, so doing the work there, it's can be a very constructive full moon, especially when we're on the side of being willing to take the actions and steps and patience and persistence to build and develop these areas. All right, now that Mercury direct, yes, I think there will be insights around Tuesday, Wednesday time involving your work, routine, whatever this is, maybe things moving forward for you here in time. And then the turn up to Uranus, maybe there's something new and different, unorthodox with the routine, mixing it up perhaps. But I think fundamentally, you're probably just coming into the week feeling like being yourself, free-spirited, which is good. Uranus has been helping you do that over the past 10 years. Find freedom of being who you truly are. All right, then as we go into the weekend, Venus does start to shift into your 6th house. So I think by Friday time, you'll probably start to see the value of your work and enjoy your work or day-to-day or personal growth. You know, seeing the value of these things and enjoying it for the next month. You know, enjoying the day-to-day there, I think will be an emphasis. Now, the week does end with the sun trining up to Pluto, which is a good positive energy here going into the 6th. You'll likely be very fearless in this area on some level, I would imagine. Maybe just very clear cut. You know, you're willing to organize, structure things, put things in the right place, fix things, or, you know, do that thing at work that maybe you were afraid of to do before. Now you've got the power because you're fearless to do it. Listen to your inner guidance with it, but it's a very good, powerful force here for you to make some positive changes with your routine. Also, even with your career as well, which has been the case with Pluto. It's all about non-attachment, but I think you're feeling non-attached because the fear is either subsided or you're more accepting of it, which can help you make some positive changes with these areas. All right, so Pisces, I hope you have a fantastic week. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please like, comment, and share it with your friends and family. It's very much appreciated. And I will see you all very soon for the next forecast.